For some reason, Gedaliah, top G Israel, keeps going after a brother in Christ of mine. And of course, they're going back and forth. And I keep responding to Gedaliah on here. He's getting beat down. He is getting cut every time he talks. And we're going to go through a video of his right now. We're going to go through his arguments and we're going to see how he just doesn't know what he's talking about. So let's just get into it.
Of the Bible. They don't have proper comprehension skills to read. Case in point, listen to this response of this person. I think his name is Gedaliah. Well, I'm not sure what his name is. Top Dog Israel. I think it's what his little handle is.
You don't know his name, yet you put his picture on a thumbnail on your page, to which broadcasts to all of your followers and subscribers. Who puts a person's picture on their thumbnail if they don't know their name or who they are?
Gedaliah. Well, I'm not sure what his name is. Top Dog Israel. I think it's what his little handle is. Something like that. But he gave a response. I was sent this by their arch nemesis, Vocab Malone, and I got a kick out of it.
Our arch nemesis? No, idiot. He's your arch nemesis too. He only wants to destroy your people and see your people oppressed and continue down, and your help contributing to it. But let's continue to look at this.
The word of reconciliation. Who is Paul writing to? Who's the audience here? Who is Paul speaking to? Is he speaking to Jews? No, he's speaking to Gentiles. Is he just saying?
He said, who is the audience? He asked, were they Jews? Now, I hope Corey Minor has enough understanding to know that there was a split between the kingdom of Israel. Northern and southern kingdom, they became split into two. The northern kingdom became known as Gentiles. The southern kingdom became known as Jews. He keeps mentioning Jews as if that's all 12 tribes. And when you read the word Gentile, that just automatically means that's talking about, whomever outside of the Israelites. No, Corey, you got a lot to learn.
Seems like the only person that needs to learn here is you. Thayer's Greek lexicon. Before the exile, citizens of the kingdom of Judah. After the exile, all the Israelites. The Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. As most of the exiles came from Judah, and as they were the main historical representatives of ancient Israel, the term Jew came finally to comprehend all of the Hebrew race throughout the world. Here's Smith's Bible Dictionary. Just pause to read. I don't need to keep going. Here's the New Unger's Bible Dictionary. Again, pause to read. I don't need to keep going. But I can give many other examples that all say the same thing.
Let me show you who the Gentiles are in the book of Corinthians, or the letters of Corinthians. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 1. Moreover, brethren, I would not that ye should be ignorant. Oh, man, that's ironic. I would not that ye should be ignorant how that all our fathers were under the cloud, and all passed through the sea, and were all baptized unto Moses in the cloud and in the sea, and did all eat the same spiritual meat, and did all drink the same spiritual drink. For they drink of that spiritual rock that followed them, and that rock was Christ. Wait a minute. Let's look at this again. I would not have you ignorant how that all our fathers all our fathers were under the cloud, and all passed through the sea, and were all baptized. Were Corinthians, if you say that these are Gentiles, meaning nations outside of the Israelites, were they baptized in the wilderness? Were they with Moses in the wilderness? No. Who was with Moses in the wilderness? The Israelites. Who are the Corinthians? Israelites. I got more.
So first here, he talks about 1 Corinthians chapter 10. But he doesn't understand what's going on in 1 Corinthians chapter 10 because he doesn't understand the composition of the church in Corinth. So let's look at it. Here we're in Acts chapter 18, verse 1. After these things, Paul departed from Athens and came to Corinth, and found a certain Jew named Aquila, born in Pontus, lately come from Italy, with his wife Priscilla, because that Claudius had commanded all Jews to depart from Rome, and he came unto them. And notice what happens in verse 4. And he reasoned in the synagogue every Sabbath, and persuaded the Jews and the Greeks. So the church in Corinth had both Jews and Gentiles within the church. It was not just one or the other. So having both Jews and Greeks, when we get to his argument here in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, he seems to want us to believe that Paul must be talking to the entire church. But is this consistent with his own ideology? No, it's not. Why? Well, because he's about to go to 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 2, which says this: "Ye know that ye were Gentiles, carried away unto these dumb idols, even as ye were led." Well, he doesn't believe that the entire church was all people who are here said to have been Gentiles. He knows that some of them were Jews. So this verse here can't be referring to those who were Jews. So this is really simple. Let's go back and look at chapter 10 again. Verse 1. "Moreover, brethren, I would not that ye should be ignorant that all our fathers were under the cloud." Why would Paul not here be talking only to the Jews, just like in chapter 12, he's talking only to the Gentiles? It is entirely consistent. This in no way makes the Gentiles Israelites. It's simply he has a different subject that he is speaking to in this text, just like he does in chapter 12. Now let's go to his next argument.
1 Corinthians 12 and 2, "Ye know that ye were Gentiles, carried away unto these dumb idols." Dumb, I like that. He likes to call people ignorant. He's following dumb idols, "even as ye were led." So the Corinthians were Gentiles? What does that mean? What does he mean, were Gentiles?
Okay, so he goes to chapter 12, verse 2, and he says, "You were Gentiles." And he said, "Well, how could they have been Gentiles? They're Israelites." No, that's not what's happening here at all. It's quite simple, in fact, and very consistent with what Paul says earlier back in chapter 10. Verse 32, "Give none offense, neither to the Jews, nor to the Gentiles, nor to the church of God." Notice here, Paul distinguishes the church from Jews and Gentiles. They were Gentiles simply because they are now part of the church. This doesn't change their ethnic identity, though. As we see in Romans 11:13, Paul says, "I am speaking to you who are," present tense, Gentiles, and yet in verse 17, they're already grafted in. Similarly, Ephesians chapter 3, verse 1, he is speaking to those who are Gentiles, but in the church.
From the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary, Gentiles, usually it means a non-Israelite people. Usually that's what it means, which is to imply that there are times when Gentiles refers to.
Now, we see this clip I just showed up from the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary, but what he's not reading correctly is the fact that there are two parenthetical words that appear there: people, nation. Those two words are included in that definition. We know that it is not saying that Gentiles alone sometimes means Israelites. Why? Well, we can go to Zondervan's other Bible dictionaries and find that out. Here is the Zondervan Dictionary of Bible and Theology words. Gentiles, a non-Jew, sometimes a pejorative designation similar to the modern pagan. Now you'll say, well, it says Jew, not Israelite. However, in these same dictionaries, they define Jew as all 12 tribes of Israel in the post-exilic period. The Zondervan Illustrated Dictionary of the Bible. Gentile, a non-Jewish person. Quite simple. That's what it means. Jews are never called, Israelites are never called Gentiles. Yes, they are called ethnos and goy, the Greek and Hebrew words, but Gentile is a particular translation of that word or those words that refers to non-Israelites. When it can encompass Israelites, it is translated as nation or people. There is a distinction. And we have to observe the distinction in the translation. Just like English words can have multiple meanings, so can the Greek and the Hebrew. And in this case, Gentile is one meaning, nation is another meaning.
Israelites. All right, one more. I got plenty more, but we'll deal with this one. 2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 22. Are they Hebrews? So am I. Are they Israelites? So am I. Are they the seed of Abraham? So am I. Meaning who? The leaders of the church in Corinth that was speaking evil of Paul as you continue from chapter 10 of 2 Corinthians on into chapter 11. Those brothers and sisters were Israel.
Now, it's really peculiar that Gedaliah goes to 2 Corinthians chapter 11 because here Paul is talking about people who boast in the flesh. And so he says, okay, I'm going to boast in the flesh too, because he's rebuking those false teachers that were coming into the church. Now, what's weird about this for Gedaliah is, why is this even a discussion point if they are all Hebrew? In fact, it is only because not all in the church are Hebrew that this is a point of boasting. Otherwise, they were all equal in this regard and nobody could boast as to their lineage. We see this going on, though, in the text when we read the context. Going to verse 18, seeing that many glory after the flesh, I will glory also. But ye suffer fools gladly, seeing ye yourselves are wise. For ye suffer if a man bring you into bondage, if a man devour you, if a man take you, if a man exalt himself, if a man smite you on the face. I speak as concerning reproach, as though we had been weak. Howbeit, wherein so any is bold, I speak foolishly, I am bold also. And then he goes on to speak of himself as being Hebrew. He doesn't make it an equality thing where we all are Hebrews. He says, I am, not we are. We all are. What's the big deal? No, I am a Hebrew. Okay, so what? They're claiming to be Hebrews. I'm a Hebrew. That doesn't make a difference. It is what they are coming with as to the message that is the issue. So Gedaliah is going to probably keep this up. He's probably going to keep going after Christians, and we're just going to keep knocking these arguments down one by one. It's not hard to do. But if you've never done the research into some of these things, maybe you're not familiar with what the answers are. But as you can see, all of this can be easily broken down. There's nothing compelling from the arguments they're making. So we'll just keep at it for as long as it takes.